Lamb Drover Jim, the Champion Sheepdog. Written and illustrated by Shoo Rayner. Jim the sheepdog lives way up high on the side of a hill with Martin Gale the farmer. Jim was a good sheepdog, the best for miles around, and for the first time Martin had entered him for the sheepdog trials. More than anything, Jim wanted to win the Champions Cup. Every day Martin and Jim walked across the hills together, making sure that all the sheep were safe in their fields, for every sheep thinks that the grass is always greener on the other side of the hedge. In summer, the lambs go off exploring, and as soon as one lamb finds a hole in the hedge to climb through, all the rest will follow. Then Jim has to round them up, running quickly from side to side to drive them back into the field where they belong. One hot summer morning, Jim stretched himself out in the warm farmyard. "I'm off to town, Jim," said Martin. Jim opened one eye. "So you're in charge at the farm?" "Woof," said Jim sleepily. As the sun grew warmer, Jim soon fell asleep again. He dreamt of chasing hundreds of sheep across the fields, and he dreamt of winning the Champions Cup. Suddenly he woke up. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Something was wrong. Jim ran up to the fields. All the sheep had gone. Up and down he ran, but he could not see them anywhere. Hot and thirsty, he ran down to the river for a drink. But it had been a long, hot summer, and all the water had gone. Jim sat down for a moment and scratched his head with one paw. "If I know sheep," he said to himself, "they'll be miles away by now." He looked down at the dry riverbed, and then it came to him in a flash. They had gone down the riverbed to the village. Jim ran after the sheep. Soon he heard the sounds of shouting. He leapt out of the riverbed to find the garden of the inn full of sheep. There were sheep on the chairs and sheep on the tables. They were eating people's lunches and drinking lemonade. Jim had to think quickly. He needed help, so he ran off to fetch his friend Rags, who lived at the village shop. There were sheep all over the village, and outside the shop they were eating the boxes of fruit and vegetables. Mr. Thomas, the shopkeeper, was waving his arms and shouting. But the sheep didn't take any notice. They walked past him and into the shop. One sheep jumped onto the counter and opened the till. It began to eat all the money. When Jim arrived at the shop, Rags jumped up to meet him with a bark. "Woof," he said. "A fine mess you're in." "Look, Rags, I can sort it out with your help," said Jim. "I'm going to round up all the sheep and drive them back along the riverbed to the field. You just stand on the bank and growl if any of them try to get out." Then Jim began to round up the sheep, one by won. Everyone in the village came out and cheered him on. "Hooray for Lamb Drover Jim!" they all shouted. Although Rags wasn't really a sheepdog, he did his best, growling every now and then. At last there was only one old ram left, eating all the carrots in Mr. Hardy's garden. Using every trick he had ever learned, Jim finally managed to drive him out through the gate and down to the river. "3 cheers for Lamb Drover Jim!" everyone laughed. Jim and Rags drove the sheep back along the dry riverbed to their field. "Now, if you do that at the sheepdog trials," said Rags, "you'll win without any problems." And when Martin came back from town and heard all about Jim's adventure and about his new nickname, he entered Jim for the trials as Lamb Drover Jim. And, of course, Jim won the Champions Cup, and he won it the next year, and the next year, and the next year, until he had won it so many times that he was given a special silver cup to keep forever. And on the cup were written these words: "Lamb Drover Jim, the champion sheepdog." Thanks for watching, and make sure you are subscribed to the Shoo Rayner Story channel and keep coming back for lots more stories.